Back at the beginning of December, one of our parishioners, Allison Kenyon, and her 3 young daughters were decorating the Christmas tree at home. They were having a great time, and 3 little girls, a little chaotic, but a lot of fun. They were laughing and hanging the ornaments. But one of the ornaments was incredibly special. It was Hannah, the oldest daughter. It was her first Christmas ornament. Chris and Allison had purchased that ornament when Hannah was born, and so every year they hung it up on the tree. Well, it fell. It fell off the tree and it broke. Allison and the girls started to cry because it was such a special ornament and it had great sentimental value. And as they began to pick it up, Allison, who is a craftsperson, she really has a lot of wonderful skills, she thought, can I put this back together? But you know those glass ornaments, there's just absolutely no way. So they're all pretty broken-hearted, just as broken as that ornament. Allison called her mom, Hannah's grandma, and they came up with this beautiful plan. They went to the craft store and they got one of those clear ornaments, clear glass ornaments, and they very carefully took all the broken pieces and placed it inside that ornament and decorated it a little bit, and together they placed it on the tree. Now I have to say, there are times when things can't be repaired, but they can kind of be fixed. There are times when we can't absolutely put everything back together, kind of Humpty Dumpty like, but there are times when we can renew and in a sense repurpose and find ways to take the brokenness and pull it back together again. And that's just what they did. Now I know there's a lot of people sitting here today who feel the same way, that this year has caused some broken hearts and some broken lives, and our world at times feels really broken. I think about all the things that have gone on, and there's some brokenness in us, in our church, in our faith, in our hearts. God's promise is that He can always take the brokenness and bring about something beautiful. He can find ways to renew, not necessarily fix, because some things can't be fixed, but they can be brought together into something beautiful. In today's first reading, this king Ahaz, his kingdom was broken. It was absolutely shattered. And his confidence was broken too. So when Isaiah said, ask for anything, Ahaz was absolutely too bitter and broken. He was in despair. And so he said, I've got nothing. And Isaiah says to him, look, I'm going to make you a promise anyway. Emmanuel will come. The virgin will give birth to a son. Emmanuel, God is with us. That's the promise. That in your brokenness, God is with us. In the gospel reading, Joseph is also brokenhearted. His dream was to have this amazing family and wife and home. And then he finds out Mary's pregnant. And his heart, in its brokenness, he just wants to sweep it up and put it behind him and move on. But God renews the promise. And just as that promise is renewed, Joseph's faith, hope, and love are renewed. And he finds new life, something far more beautiful than his dream had been. He can take Mary and that brokenness of his heart and place them in that clear glass ornament of his own heart. And something beautiful can come from it. And that ornament, of course, is Jesus. You know, that new dream is Emmanuel, God with us, who will hang on a tree for all to see. And in the brokenness that St. Paul talked about in that reading, new life will come, resurrection, not just for the people of Israel, but for all the world. God has the power to take brokenness and to reimagine it, renew it, in some ways repair it, to bring life to all. Our own brokenness as we sit here is brought to this altar, brought to these readings, brought to these 4 precious candles on this 4th Sunday of Advent. And with 1 week to go before Christmas, we bring that brokenness and we ask our Lord, we ask our God to take us in our brokenness and bring us into his beautiful life. Not just light, but life. So that we can bring life to our families and to our world. God can use our brokenness. God can use our broken lives, our broken hearts. God can take us, if we allow God to do this, into that clear glass ornament of his hands, his heart. He can hold us in our brokenness and allow us life and beauty for the life of all. We're so fortunate this year. We have 4 full weeks of Advent, a week until Christmas. My prayer for all of us here is that we can find the courage, the faith, the hope, the love to allow God to take us and renew us and bring us new life, not just for our sake, but for the sake of all. So God bless you on this 4th Sunday of Advent, and continue to go and be church.